Good morning. I start with a simple premise. Bad roads kill communities. And I have a number of communities in central St. Mary that have been dying because of the unsafe condition of the roadways. So communities like Preston Hill, Hampstead, Islington, Marlborough, Essex, these communities, Tremolesworth, and I could go on and on. These communities are dying. Islington has a high school, one of two high schools in the constituency, 3 primary schools. There's no safe way in and no safe way out. So as a lifelong resident of Islington, I attended the Spark consultation in May of 2024. At the consultation, we were told that 10 roads would have been selected on the Spark based on the consultation. And upon leaving some months later, we saw 10 roads listed on a site that was managed by Minister Morgan's ministry. 10 roads with no condition. So we left expecting that the Thompson Town Road would have been rehabilitated, that Esher Avenue would have been rehabilitated, that Captureland would have been rehabilitated, that Albion Mountain would have been rehabilitated, and several other roads. After being declared a candidate for Central St. Mary, Member of Parliament Guy, former MP, reached out regarding the naming of liaison officers. He was told to name liaison officers for 2 roads which would have been priority roads. These roads work started on in March of 2025. Excavators rolled in, teams rolled in, they started excavating the roadway. In April of 2025, the liaison for Killancolly reached out, indicating that, to his surprise, the teams were ready to begin laying asphalt, even though there were pipes, long-standing leaking issues under the ground on the NWC's delivery piping system. And so he said the community was threatening to call in the media. And I agreed, because we were getting nowhere. The Member of Parliament was getting nowhere, the liaison was getting nowhere. And so when the media rolled in, Minister Morgan went on media and indicated at that time, in May of 2025, that it was already known that piping was a part of the Killancolly project, and as such, he was disappointed that the representative had not informed the residents. We are now in May of 2026, and up to last week, when it rained, people were still driving into Killancolly and into Tremolesworth, experiencing significant delays because of a ridiculous amount of mud on the road. When it is hot, when it is windy, the dust is a nuisance. And this is a project that Minister Morgan indicated as far back as May of 2025 that it was already known that pipework would have been a part of it. So I have questions. If it was known in 2025 or prior that pipes would need to be laid in Killancolly, why did work begin? Why was the road excavated when pipes were not even yet in Jamaica? And if it was known that pipework was a part of the Killancolly project, why 15 months later? Why is it 15 months later, only after a press release was dispatched last week, that a team on Saturday went into the community with significant distrust from residents because they have seen many stops and starts over time? And I think, Minister Morgan, if you are going to take credit for the perceived successes of Spark, then the failures also rest at your feet. We were promised 10 roads. Upon becoming Member of Parliament, it was brought to my attention that the 10 roads would have an estimated cost of over $800 million. But the budget for the roads in Central St. Mary under Spark is $272 million. So my question is, was this 10 road just a part of a narrative to win votes? When can the people of Esher and Captureland and Thompson Town and Albion Mountain and other communities in Central St. Mary expect their roads to be fixed? Because the people of Trinityland Albion Mountain, Thompson Town, Haywood Hall, Capture Land, Guava River, they are all counting on the word of the government. And if you can't trust the word of your government, it really doesn't make any sense. I want to say one final thing, if I'm permitted. In January of 2025, Prime Minister Holness visited the constituency of Central St. Mary to hand over a home in Albion Mountain. We invited him to take a tour of a collapsed bridge in Albion Mountain, which connects the community to the main road. In fact, it connects the community near to all the essential services, the fire, police, all of them, the hospital. Their alternate route is to drive through the congested town of Port Maria. This was in January of 2025. I've been asking, and I have still not received a timeline. When can we expect the Albion Mountain Bridge to be replaced, the Trinity Bridge to be replaced, so that communities such as Cox Street and Albion Mountain can be connected? The residents contend that a house that recently burnt down could have been saved if the fire truck didn't have to go through the congested town of Port Maria in order to get to Albion Mountain. That is one. The second question, there's a fording that leads to Marlborough. On that same trip, we invited and showed the Prime Minister the cavity in that fording that had reduced the fording to less than single lane traffic. The Prime Minister looked at it on the same day that he saw the Trinity Bridge and indicated that it would be easier to have the fording fixed than the Trinity Bridge. I've asked questions in Parliament in October, I've asked in November, I've asked at Standing Finance Committee, and I am yet to hear from the Prime Minister what are the plans as the responsible minister to have the fording that leads into Marlborough fixed so that we don't have to worry. You talk about going to bed and waking up with your windows and door open. I want to wake up without being concerned that the cavity will cause the fording to collapse and somebody will have to be rushed to the hospital. Thank you.